Welcome back to Hot Takes, the motorcycle show for busy people who love motorcycles. And today we've got the scoop for you. As reported by Crash.net, it seems as if there was a little clause in the contract that Ducati put in for Martin and Marquez. So they were all set for Martin to be accepted into the red bike conditionally. So the condition, that little clause, was that if Marquez won the championship, that Martin would have to stay in Pramac and Marquez could get the red bike. Martin was okay with that. I believe Martin is very confident that he can win the championship and at the very least finish in front of Marc. However, Marc said no to that. He was not willing to accept the Pramac bike if Martin won the championship, which seems more likely than Marc at this point in time. That sort of blew up the deal. So Ducati was forced to choose, and they chose the 8-time world champion, Marc Marquez.
Emotional damage!
You have already been debating it in the comments as to whether that was a good decision or not. A lot of people seem to be coming down on Martin's side, that he should have been chosen, he just done enough, and that Marquez will just cause strife within the team. We'll find out about that, but Ducati made their decision, and Martin immediately ran over to Aprilia, and they got the windfall that they got. So after this big shakeup, where are we sitting in MotoGP? This silly season has been crazy, and that's because most of the riders have come up for renewal at the end of 2024. Their contracts were sort of synced up, and those who got new contracts last year, most of them only signed a 1-year contract because there's a lot of shuffling going on. And it's a little bit like being out in the club and dancing around, and you hope that when the music stops and the lights turn on, that you're next to the good partner. And they all want to be next to the best possible partner that they can possibly be next to.
Would you like to leave a message? I'll be sure that she gets it.
Yes, Mom, will you get out of there, please? You're no fun!
Some of the first ones to get rides were Bagnaia and Fabio Quartararo. Those were both hot items, recent world champions. Pedro Acosta has moved up into the factory team. That was always where he was destined to be. He's a very talented rider. He's shown that, and they just needed to do some shuffling around. Now, we have a new guy coming in, Fermin Aldeguera, I believe you say his name. And he will be riding on a Ducati, but is not clear yet what Ducati he will be on. But he is contracted for the next 2 years with Ducati. So who does not have contracts for next year yet? Well, most of the rest of the field. Bastianini, he seems to be a hot item right now. He's had a much better season than last year, and it seems like he's up in the air. He may end up in the Gas Tech 3 team. That is a rumor that's going around, but you would think that Ducati would be happy to have him stay in one of their teams, possibly Pramac, or possibly one of the other teams, because there are some seats that are unfilled at this time. Alex Rins and Maverick Vinales, both contracts are up in 2024, but I don't expect them to move around. They've both had pretty good years. This year, especially Vinales won the sprint and the race at COTA in America, and he's having a great year. I wouldn't expect him to move around. Alex Rins, he's just getting used to the Yamaha, and it's a big improvement over the Honda that he was on before. Yamaha seems to be set for an upward trajectory, so they're testing some new aero, and it seems like later in the year they're probably coming out with a full new aero package. They're allowed some concessions, they're allowed some new aerodynamics and new development, and they're saying that this might make them much, much more competitive. So we could see an improvement, and Quartararo and Alex Rins are a great combination on that package. Joan Mir and Jack Miller, the two J's, they seem to be ones who their future is very uncertain. They've both had shocking, horrible years, especially Joan Mir. He's had 2 bad years at Honda. He crashes in almost every single race. He can't seem to stay on the bike, and to be fair, no one else can either. So seems to be knocked around that maybe he's going to retire after this year. He's very, very discouraged. I would hate to see him go because he is a world champion in MotoGP, and he no doubt has talent, but he hasn't been able to show it in a very long time, and so we'll see where that goes. Jack Miller, his options are not great. They're saying that maybe he'll end up in Honda. His contract is not renewed with KTM, and with Jack having poor results, it really doesn't look good for him. So he's going to have to take what he can get. So it seems like Honda could be an option for him, and he could end up in World Superbike. And to be honest, I believe he should go to World Superbike because we've seen talented riders like Alvaro Bautista and Andrea Iannone who have gone to World Superbike and done quite well over there. And I believe that Jack could. His Achilles heel is making tires last, and he can put in a hot lap. He's aggressive. He can get out there in the front, but he never lasts. In 5-6 laps, he's going backwards and everybody's coming by him, and that's not good enough. You've got to get results, and maybe he could do better in World Superbike. Alex Marquez and Franco Morbidelli, their contracts are both ending this year, but I believe that they will stay where they're at. Alex has had a good run in the Gresini, and I would expect him to stay or move onto a comparable Ducati motorcycle. Franco Morbidelli just moved to the Pramac seat, and to be honest, I was kind of surprised. I kind of felt like maybe he got the seat because his name is Morbidelli and he has some connections. He was in the VR46 Academy. He really didn't show very well at Yamaha for quite a few years now. And so I was surprised he got one of the most coveted bikes on the grid. He's had a pretty good year. He's finished behind the other riders on the GP24 Ducati, but he's had a pretty good year, so he might stay around. Then we have Fabio Di Giannantonio. His career seems to be up and down. He has a couple of good races, and then he doesn't have great races for a while. And so we'll see. It's hard to predict. Bezzecchi, he's had some great results. Possibly he'll stay where he's at on the VR46 bike. It seems to be a good bike for him. It always helps when you're Italian and you're an Italian manufacturer. They seem to give you that little bit of extra help and encouragement and keep you around even if you're not getting fantastic results. Now in Trackhouse, we have Miguel Oliveira and Raul Fernandez, and these guys have not had great years. So it's hard to say what's going to happen to them. We know that Joe Roberts is having a pretty good year in Moto 2. Trackhouse is an American-owned team, and they would like to see an American on that bike. This is one of those times when not being European, not being Spanish, gives you that little bit of edge, and you get a seat when maybe you don't deserve it. However, we really want to see an American competing, and hopefully at least mid-pack, hopefully getting some top 10 finishes, and that would bring in a lot of American viewers, which MotoGP really wants to do. He should be getting one of those seats. Which one, we don't know yet, but I guess we're going to find out. Augusto Fernandez is one who has had sort of a slow start after being a world champion in Moto2 in 2022. He's obviously a talented rider and you expect more from him, but he's kind of been slow getting up to speed. He had a 4th place finish, which is his best. Of course, he's on the red bike, the Gas Tech 3 bike, and he's next to Pedro Acosta. Acosta is a prodigy and kind of makes him look bad, but we'll see. And last, we've got Takaki Nakagami. He never has great results. He led a few races and just choked and crashed out of the lead. His career really hasn't been fantastic. However, he's the one Japanese guy on a Japanese bike, and nobody wants to be on the Honda to begin with. So they'll probably let him hang around as long as he wants to hang around. And that's one of those other situations where not being European, not being Spanish is an advantage, because it's not like you've got Japanese riders storming the ramparts trying to get in and be MotoGP riders. want to target that audience. So we'll see what happens. He can probably stay around as long as he wants. So there's still a lot going on for silly season. Maybe some of those names you don't know, maybe you're getting familiar with them. But if you want to see what happens, join us again next time on Hot Takes, the motorcycle show for busy people who love motorcycles.